Welcome to another episode of Jamming with Jason. Today, we're going to talk about satisfaction. And I know some people out there can't seem to get no satisfaction, and other people are really feeling satisfied. And so, we're going to use the music of the Rolling Stones and Boston to go through and talk about satisfaction. So, we all can feel more satisfied in our life. And so, with that, we're going to get right into the episode now. All right. Well, growing up as a teenager, I subscribed to some of the different, if you're old enough to remember this, some of the different kind of music clubs. I think there was BMG and there was Sony, or there were a couple of different ones. It was one of those where, hey, you can get 20 cassettes for 1 cent, and then you promise to buy, I think it was, one cassette a year or a month after that or something like that. So anyway, I got a lot of different music when I was a teenager, and music has always been a very important part of my life. And in one of the tapes that I got was, I think it was called Hot Rocks. It was a collection of Rolling Stones songs from pretty much the mid to the late 60s. And one of those songs that was on there was Satisfaction. And I'm sure you've all heard it. I mean, everybody's heard it. It's one of the most well-recognized probably songs in the world. And you know how it goes. I can't get no satisfaction. I can't get no love reaction. And I try, and I try, and I try, and I try. Singing a little bit different, so hopefully that the music players won't think I'm trying to pirate the song here. But you know the song, okay? And so I want to talk about that song a little bit to begin with, and then we're going to jump into a song from Boston called "Feeling Satisfied." So why are we talking about this? Because a lot of people, I know myself included, don't really feel satisfied in their life. They're just kind of going through the motions. Uh, they don't really feel like they're living up to their full potential. Maybe they're just kind of living somebody else's dream. And at some point they kind of wake up and they're like, man, what am I doing? I'm not feeling satisfied, right? And it's like the guy in the song that he can't get no satisfaction, right? And so let's look at some of the lyrics that are in here, because I think it's important for us to understand, when people are not feeling satisfied, when they can't get no satisfaction, there's some common reasons for it. And so if you're feeling that way in your life, let's talk about what some of those things are and why maybe you're feeling that way. And then we're going to end up, like I said, on figuring out how we can feel more satisfied. Okay, now in the song, they call it can't or satisfaction, but it's also I can't get no satisfaction. So it depends on which way you look at it. But I'm gonna take out all the different things that are kind of in it from a lyrical standpoint, uh, and just kind of focus on a few of the lyrics, because there's a lot of repetition in this song. There was, and a lot of the songs from the '60s were this way, where there'd be a lot of different hooks and repeats of the same thing over and over again. So that's one of the things that's in this song. But I think it's interesting, and if we talk about and look at some of the verses that are in here, right? So when I'm driving in my car and the man comes on the radio, okay, the man. Well, in this instance, we're not referring to the man as the government, but typically it would be an advertisement, right? And so again, today maybe we'd say I'm watching Netflix or Amazon, and all of a sudden they throw an advertisement in there, right? So this guy's hearing an advertisement and he says, he's telling me more and more about some useless information supposed to drive my imagination. Okay, and so I think that's an important part to begin with, right? Is that A lot of times the advertisements are useless information, just trying to convince you usually to buy something that you don't really need. And so a lot of times what people will do though is they believe it, right? Because we end up hearing these advertisements over and over and over and over and over again. And we think, oh my gosh, my life is going to be so different if I just go out and buy this product. Because the ad told me that if I buy this product, everything is going to be great in my life. And so a lot of people do that. I have been guilty of doing that many times, much of my life, right? Where we think, hey, if I go buy this, if I have that, then I'm finally going to feel satisfied. But it doesn't work that way, right? And so a lot of times those advertisements are useless information that just end up getting into our head and take us away from what actually makes us feel satisfied. Okay. Now, if we go down in the song a little bit further, right, he says, when I'm watching my TV and a man comes on and tells me, so again, right, we're talking about advertisement, how white my shirts can be, right? So this advertisement about how white your shirts can be. Buy this new laundry detergent or this bleach or whatever it is, and your shirts are going to be so white that everything is going to be great in your life, right? But the song goes on to say, but he can't be a man because he doesn't smoke the same cigarettes as me. Now, I always found this to be kind of a funny lyric when I was younger, but as I've gotten older, it kind of makes more sense to me. And in fact, there's kind of a personal story of myself to kind of tell here. So currently, I smoke. Okay, don't consider myself a smoker. I started later in life, and at some point, I'm going to quit. But right now, I like to smoke. Okay. And so when I decided, as an adult, I mean, I wasn't a 10-year-old sneaking around in the boys' room smoking. There's another great song, Smoking in the Boys' Room. But I was an adult man, and I consciously chose to start smoking because I wanted to. Okay. Now, at that point, just like anything, if you're going to start anything new, if you're whatever product it is, you've got to find something that seems to work for you. Okay. And so, I looked around at some of the people that I admired from history, like John Lennon. I knew that John Lennon smoked, and it was well known that he smoked Dunhill cigarettes. Another person that I respect and admire is Kurt Vonnegut. He was an author, and again, well-known smoker, and well known that he smoked Pall Mall cigarettes. In fact, I always thought it was really funny because when people would give Vonnegut a hard time for smoking, he used to joke with them and say, "Yeah, smoking is a convenient way to commit suicide." And anyway, a little dark humor there, right? And again, that's not what we're talking about here. But the point of the story is, when I decided to start smoking, I thought, well, what am I gonna smoke, right? And this line in there, he can't be a man because he doesn't smoke the same cigarettes as me, is interesting because Marlboro had a big ad campaign for a long time. In fact, I don't know, it's probably still going on a little bit, of the Marlboro Man. And he was a real manly man. He was a cowboy. And so, if you smoked Marlboro cigarettes, then you were a real manly man kind of a thing. And so, in a way, that's kind of what that lyric is actually referring back to, right? Well, you must not be a real man. I can't trust what you're saying if you don't smoke Marlboro, right? Because that's my brand of cigarettes, as an example, right? And so, again, that's kind of where this lyric comes from. Now, for me, again, it was like, well, you got to try different things before you know for sure what it is that you want. So, you can't really buy Dunhills here in the US very, very much anymore. But when I was traveling a lot, you could buy them overseas. And so I bought some and I tried them and I found one that I kind of liked. But again, couldn't buy them here in the US, so I tried Pall Mall as well, right? And there were things about each one of them that I liked or didn't like. And so eventually, right, instead of just going along or doing what somebody else told me I should do, right? Marlboro is telling me to smoke their cigarettes. And I'm thinking, well, John Lennon liked Dunhill, so maybe I'll like that too, because I like John, right? Not that he was endorsing it, or Kurt Vonnegut with Paul Mall, right? But eventually I had to come to my own decision. I had to do what was authentic to me. I had to find out what I preferred, right? And I think that's a lesson in satisfaction as well, is that if we're just trying to mimic other people, if we're just doing things or buying products or saying things or thinking certain things are cool or certain things are not cool, or believing what somebody says just because we like them, that usually does not lead to satisfaction, right? Because now we're adopting the beliefs, or we're doing something that other people like that may or may not be what we like, right? And so again, kind of one of the first things to think about with satisfaction is authentically, what do I want? Get a little excited, have to take a little sip. Um, So that there's an interesting point about, again, if this person, again, the protagonist in this song, is saying, well, look, I can only do, I can't believe you because you don't smoke the same cigarettes as me. But my shirts aren't going to be very white if I don't do what you're trying to say, right? And so you're kind of stuck in the middle here. And the last verse in here kind of says, when I'm riding around in the world and I'm doing this and I'm signing that and I'm trying to make some girl who tells me, baby, better come back maybe next week, because you see, I'm on a losing streak. And so, with this song, again, it's kind of peppy, but when you sit down and you stop and you listen to the lyrics of what it's actually saying, right? It's about a person who can't get no satisfaction. And so if you listen to this song over and over again, like I did, I wasn't getting no satisfaction, right? Because I was probably believing some of what that song is actually saying, right? Is that, well, people just can't get satisfaction in this life. But what's the reality? Well, of course, we can get satisfaction in this life, right? We just can't get it if that is how we're looking for satisfaction. If you think, if your shirts are whiter, if you're smoking the right kind of cigarettes, if you get the girl that you want, that those things again don't bring satisfaction to you. Those are just things. Satisfaction and a peaceful, easy feeling is something that is inside when you tap into yourself authentically. Okay. So again, if you're feeling like you can't get no satisfaction, maybe this week stop and think about, are some of these things getting in your way of you really being satisfied? And if they are, what choices can you make different? Okay. Now, I want to contrast this song. And again, this is not a slam on the Rolling Stones because I love the Rolling Stones. It's again just thinking about what the lyrics are saying and how that plays out in so many people's lives. Okay, now let's switch to the band Boston, okay, which incidentally is from Boston, Massachusetts, and they put out some great songs. Okay, I love Boston as well. I love the Rolling Stones. I love Boston. But they have a song called Feeling Satisfied. And I think it's a really interesting song that kind of came into my head as I was preparing for this podcast. And I think it also, we already talked about why people aren't getting satisfaction, maybe, and how you can flip that around to get satisfaction. But I think in this song from Boston, there are some other clues for us as well on how we can feel satisfied. Okay. All right. For all of you that are watching on video, you can see I'm taking a sip of coffee right now. And those of you that are on audio, don't worry if there's a little pause. Okay. So here we go. So let's jump into the song from Boston. From Boston. When I say that, I want to put my Boston accent on it. So anyway, here we go. I'm going to read some of the lyrics and then let's talk about it. Okay. So, well, come on, all you people. The time has come to get together. You've got to have a little rock and roll music to get you through the stormy weather and do whatever you feel. When you let go, nothing's going to help you more than rock and roll. Okay. Well, come on, all you people. The time has come to get together. You gotta have a little rock and roll music. Okay, something like that. Again, if you don't know the tune, Google it, look it up on YouTube or download it. But I think it's interesting, right? Because we all have stormy weather that comes through our lives. All of us have stormy weather. I mean, hell, during any given day, you probably have periods of stormy weather. Okay. In fact, I did another podcast episode on the Fire and Earth podcast with Kathy Groover about this. I think we called it something like cloudy with a chance of precipitation, and how a lot of times during the day, right, our emotions and everything else are like this stormy weather that may come in. Sometimes it's bright and sunny, shiny, sometimes it's raining, right? So when that stormy weather comes along, here's one of the clues, right? You gotta let go. You gotta let go. Okay. And there's a saying, let go and let God, right? That some people will say that when a lot of these things come along, just like that, even if we're not feeling satisfied, well, let it go. Just let it go. Just let it go. And I know a lot of people are like, well, how do I do that? I just can't get this thing out of my head. Well, you gotta let go. One thing that works well for me is, again, I just sit there and tell myself, I let go. I let go. I let go. Whatever that feeling might be, right? So, like, if I'm feeling really angry, I would say, I let go my anger. I let go my anger. I let go my anger, right? I would say that over and over again. And then I'm going to replace it with something else. So I might say, I let go my anger and I replace with gratitude. Okay. So we're letting go and we're replacing with something else. Now, they weren't thinking about this when they wrote the song, but what they were talking about is, again, it's letting go and letting something in. So let go, and nothing's going to help you more than rock and roll. So what are they talking about there? Well, if you need to let go and maybe play some music, right? If you're not feeling satisfied and you want to feel satisfied, don't play Can't Get No Satisfaction. Put on something like Boston's Feeling Satisfied. Listen to that 3, 4, 5 times in a row, or listen to whatever it is that's going to get you into the mood that you want to be in. Let go that feeling that you're having, let something else in. And as I said, music is a great way to do that. It's one of the reasons why I love music. It's why I talk about it so much here on the podcast as well, because music is a very quick and powerful and easy way for us to change our emotions and to feel totally different about our life. Okay. So come on, put your hands together. That's the next part of the lyric, actually, right? It's now or never. Take a chance on rock and roll. Okay. A little later on, oh, that funky feeling. I love the word funky. If and it's not that you're in a funk, but think like funk music, right? You're feeling funky, right? What's going to help get you through? Ain't nothing going to help you more than rock and roll. And again, those are the lyrics from the song, but I can attest to the fact that, when I've been down, when I've been not feeling satisfied, when I want to change my emotions, if I will listen to music and specifically choose the kind of music that will get me into a different state of mind, state of consciousness, a different emotion, and I listen to that song, sometimes on repeat, 5, 10 times, I change. Music can change the way you feel. Music can change your outlook on life. It can provide you hope, right? Where you didn't have any before. At the same time, music can make you sad and depressed. If you're listening to sad and depressed music, you're going to feel sad and depressed. Okay. Got a tickle in my throat today for some reason. Okay, so here we go, right? So, some other little tips from inside this song that I think is very important goes back to some of the ancient traditions, psychological principles, other things like this as well. Is because they say, I'll tell you something. So I'm going to tell you something, right? Don't let your troubles get to you. I'm going to say that again. Don't let your troubles get to you. Don't let your troubles get to you. Okay. Because again, that stormy weather comes along, and our first reaction usually is, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. Right? We go into anxiety, we go into fear, whatever. We start worrying about these troubles. But don't let your troubles get to you. Because win or lose, it's all right. We'll take control, and nothing's going to help you more than rock and roll. Okay. Don't let your troubles get to you, because win or lose, it's all right. Okay. And I think, again, this is a powerful concept that is taught in most ancient traditions and in a lot of religions as well. Is everything always has been, is now, and always will be okay. Everything will be okay, right? No matter what stormy weather comes along, we've dealt with this before. We're going to get through it. Even major life events, right? They've done a lot of research in psychology about this. Even major events like death of a partner, a close family member, divorce, bankruptcy, it doesn't matter, right? You pick these big stressors for people. Even with no help, within 2 years, people's lives go back to homeostasis. Within 2 years, everything is going to be back to where it was before. Now, that's if you don't do anything about it. If you actively do something about it, obviously things can change for the quicker, right? But, no matter what you're going through, everything is going to be all right. I promise you, everything will be all right. Now, how do I know that? Because I've gone through some gnarly shit in my life, and everything is always all right. Everything is fine. There might be some stormy weather for a little while. That's okay. We might lose people in our lives. That's okay. We may get fired from a job. That's okay, right? No matter what comes our way, we are going to be all right. In fact, even death is nothing to fear, because in death, we are still all right, because we do not cease to exist. Death is not the end. So no matter what happens in life, you're going to be all right. Now, if you want to get through it quicker, right? And if you want to start practicing and doing things to help change your state of consciousness quicker, use music. That's again one of the reasons why I talk about this on the podcast, why I'm going to probably be talking more about it, right? Because again, the universe has kind of been kicking my butt the last little bit. I haven't recorded some podcasts because I've been busy and the energy and other stuff going on, but I'm really getting kicked in the butt to talk more about music again from the universe. So I'm going to be talking more about music, right? Just like in this particular episode. Because as I told you before, you don't have to believe me, right? In fact, don't believe me. This has worked for me, right? In fact, I've taught kind of some classes before, had some little group things where we were using music, and it really does change people's lives. So I saw it in the people that I've helped with using music in kind of a proactive way, but I've also seen it in my own life, right? Because I'm the kind of guy that eats my own dog food, right? And that's a term in business that, you know, if you're making dog food, then you eat your own dog food. You make sure you eat it yourself before you sell it to other people, right? So everything that I talk about on here in my podcasts, in my live videos, these are things that I've experienced. I don't sit here and just lecture to you because I read a book. I share my experiences with you, right? And I share what has worked for me. Now, it may or may not work for you. I don't know. I don't know, right? But it worked for me. So chances are it just might work for you. Now, how are you going to know? Again, don't believe me, but what if you try it? What if the next time this week you're feeling in a funk, right? You're feeling down, you're not feeling satisfied, you're feeling anxious, you're feeling fearful, whatever it is, right? You're feeling poor me, ooh, 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 poor me. What if you just sit down and take 15 minutes and listen to a song that's going to change, right, your state of consciousness, your emotions, and just listen to that song for 15 minutes and then see how you feel after those 15 minutes. I promise you, you're going to feel different. And in fact, whatever it was that you're worrying about, you're probably going to kind of forget. You're going to move on. Now, what's going to happen? Most likely that's going to creep back in. So when it creeps back in, what do? You do it again, right? Again, go listen to some music, distract yourself from what it is. You do that a few times and it's not going to come back, right? Because the subconscious realizes after you redirect your subconscious several times, and I use the rule of thumb of 3 to 10, right? Sometimes if it's something that's not easily set in, maybe saying something or listening to something 3 times is enough. But usually by the time you get to the 10th time, your subconscious starts to realize, oh, maybe I'm not supposed to be thinking this anymore. Maybe I'm not supposed to bring this up anymore. And it starts to drop it. And so again, you might have to do this 10 times, but then it's over with. Doing something practical like this and something that is proactive will get you back to that homeostasis quicker than not doing anything. And so, as I said, you know, we don't have to worry. Everything is going to be all right. So come on, all you people that are out there listening, the time has come to get together. And if you'd like to use a little rock and roll to help you do it, great. If you like jazz instead, if you like R&B, if you like classical, if you like country, it doesn't matter, right? Whatever music resonates with you. I just happen to be more of a rock and roll kind of guy, right? So, you know, with that, because again, it's that peaceful, easy feeling that I'm sure you want to feel. It doesn't come from comparing yourself to other people. It doesn't come from buying the next gadget or believing some advertisement on the TV or on the radio. It doesn't come from comparing yourself to other people, right? It doesn't come from trying to be like someone else. It comes from you being comfortable and loving yourself and realizing who you are authentically and just allowing yourself to be authentic. Now, along that path, there's going to be some stormy weather. And so when that stormy weather comes together, put your hands in the air and wave them like you just don't care, and maybe listen to some music and get you into a different state of mind, a different emotion. And I promise you, when you do, you will start feeling satisfied, because I do. And with that, I'm going to wrap it up for this week. So thanks for listening, and we will catch you on the next episode. Have a great week.